Welcome, Neogenians.
Yes, hello. Nice to see everybody. Today we are going to be having a member stream right after this one, and today we're going to be talking about dreams and intuition. Do our dreams reflect reality? So lately we've been talking a lot about neogenesis, which is the process of restructuring the mind, and we've been talking about that in the Nexus Academy, which, by the way, we're having another Nexus Academy session in Discord tomorrow. And I think Mark is going to be leading that one. So be sure to check that out. And we hope to see you there. So we've been talking a lot about neogenesis lately and how that is preparing for and working towards a hyperaware existence, which is all really interesting. And since last time we met, we did a live stream on emotions and intuition and how those can be a roadblock to hyperawareness. And you guys were really excited about that and wanted to talk more about it, but you also asked to talk about dreams. So that led us to doing this live stream on dreams and intuition. So let's go ahead and get started. Hello, everybody. If you don't know who I am, I'm Philip Shope, and this is my content co-creator, Susan Mitchell, here at the Neogenian Oculus. Thank you, everybody, for liking the video, sharing if you like, comments. Thank you, Jan. I noticed is in the chat. Jan's one of our moderators. Mark and Elise might come in just a little bit. But thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you for your likes, your comments, and everything that you contribute to this community. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and we may hop into the chat here shortly. But first, I wanted to share a really great quote. It's one of my favorite quotes by Carl Jung. It's a more popular quote, so you've probably heard it before, but it goes like this. The dream is the small hidden door in the deepest and most intimate sanctum of the soul. And I think Susan has some graphics to pull up for that.
I did.
The first one,
I put it up. This is
oh, okay. I guess I don't see it in Zoom, but they probably
no,
saw it.
no.
So that's not related to Carl Jung. That's actually Charles Dickens, isn't it?
Yeah, this is
But
actually an unfinished painting of one of Dickens' dreams, and I guess he's dreaming about those characters, but we thought it was cool to go with that
yeah,
quote.
yeah, I thought that was really cool. And thank you to everybody who sends the member milestone chats and super chats. Don't feel like you have to, but that's another great way to support. I see Becca, who's been a member for 15 months at the waveform level, said hello, everyone. Hello to you, Becca. Nice to see you. We got to hear you speak in the Nexus Academy last Sunday, so always great to see you. And also, Morg gave a super chat and said, looking forward to this stream. Thank you so much, Morg.
Thanks, Morg.
And Jan says, wasn't it Dolly that did the key test with dreams? I'm not
Yes.
100% sure on that.
Yeah. That I think that was where, if you're talking about when he would hold a key or something in his hand, and when he would drop it when he dozed off. Is that what you're
Hmm.
talking about? Yeah, and I guess hitting the floor would wake him up. Hi, Elise. Nice to see you. Elise is another one of our moderators. I know that story, Jan. And I forget what it was that I think that was active imagination that he was doing. Is that correct? It's been a while
That's
since I've
really
heard that.
interesting.
Yeah.
I'll have to look into that more. I
Yeah.
see Bridget left a comment that said, how do I become a member of the channel? So if you close out the chat, if you're on your phone, next to the subscribe button, there should be a button that says join. I think that's right.
Yeah, and our lowest level, which I think is Wavelet, I think it's a
Yeah.
Wavelet, is it's like $2 a month, and you get access to our members only streams that we have once a month, and or thereabouts, and we have fun in there too. So
Yeah. And
yeah,
this isn't the end of the month, but today we're going to have a members only stream because we've postponed
this one
for a couple weeks.
we
Yeah,
had we had a
we had a couple
yeah,
issues.
we had some issues, and so we're doing this one tonight for really last month, and we're going to have another one at the end of this month. Hi, Melinda. Thank
Bridget
you.
says she doesn't see the join button.
Oh, it should
Yeah,
be
it should be
there.
there somewhere. You may have to look around, or maybe go to our home YouTube page and see if it says join there.
Yeah, it should be on there
Um,
somewhere. Um,
so Susan and I had some really great talks about dreams and intuition. We talked for an hour or so last night. We talked a bit today. And one of the things that we really wanted to talk about was why we dream. And Susan kind of said there is a bit of controversy about why we dream. And I said, well, it would be good for us to talk about the utility of dreams and the importance of dreams. So you were telling me something today, right, about why we dream?
Well, I had always heard that we know why we have to lie down. We know why we have to rest our bodies. That's pretty straightforward. But
Yeah.
the last I had looked into this, they didn't know why we had to sleep. We all know that sleep deprivation is like one of the worst tortures, and we know that when we don't get sleep, we know we feel awful, and the more you don't
Yeah.
get
I
sleep,
need my sleep.
yeah, you get, I mean, we all know those symptoms when you haven't slept for like a couple days for whatever reason, studying or work, or you just have insomnia, and you get confused, you can't process things correctly. There's problems, there's definite problems. So what I had years ago when when I was learning about this, I had heard that they really didn't know the reason why we had to sleep. And specifically, I would think dream, why we had to dream. Now, if you Google this, you're going to find things like, well, it's restorative, and if you don't do it, you'll get all these problems. But I think that one of the things they'll tell you is, well, you use it to process information. You use it to filter things out, the brain needs it in order to get rid of things it doesn't want to hang on to, things that would make all sorts of common sense things. But I've
Do you know why I
always,
think
oh,
that's so interesting? It's because it reaches the borderline between biology and consciousness.
mhm.
And that is what I find so interesting, that that's where the understanding stops of why we need to sleep and how that affects our consciousness.
See, I've always thought that, uh, and it's just a thought. I can't prove it, but I think that we need to dream because we need to have contact with our unconscious. And maybe there have been studies that say that, but I haven't come across anybody absolute putting those two things like together where it's a requirement because we need to access some higher part of us. I don't think materialists
Yeah.
wouldn't really want to go there. So, anyway, oh, thank you for
And it's,
joining, Outlier.
yeah, thank you for becoming a wavelet. We appreciate that so much. And I think dreams and sleep are a good opportunity for us to get away from our day-to-day lives. Like, even if we're giving the body rest, it's good to give the mind rest from
Mhm.
what we experience every day. And so when we do dream, we also create new realities for us to explore and kind of spend time in. And like what you said, that can give us an opportunity to communicate with the unconscious. And for anybody who's not familiar with our channel, or if you're new, or you've just seen a few of our live streams, we did a video on the unconscious.
Mhm.
And so you guys can go check that out. There's a lot of this uh, a lot of these concepts talked about in that video. So go ahead and check that out if you haven't already. And so
The
when we sleep,
Oh,
what's
sorry.
that?
I was just going to say that study that I recently came across that I was just telling you about, I thought was kind of interesting, where one of the theories that we need sleep is it helps us process things that are traumatic. And
Yeah.
the study took two groups of people and showed them emotionally disturbing content, and they saw the content twice, but one group had a sleep period in between and one group didn't. And the group that had the sleep in between was able to process emotionally better than the group that didn't have sleep. So what they're thinking, where they're going with this, is that the sleep helps you with emotional content as well, processing.
Yeah.
So that would make sense to me.
So it makes me wonder if they're also gaining some kind of insight on personally of how they process that kind of content. Like, didn't you say it was a horror video or something like that?
No, I don't know what it was that they actually
But
saw.
it was just some kind of shocking
Yeah,
content.
I think it was something that emotionally traumatic or emotionally
Yeah.
disturbing, is I think the way it
And
was described.
emotions come up so much in your dreams. It's a huge aspect of your dreams that I feel like that's a good opportunity for us to bring in insights from our unconscious when we're asleep and dreaming. And so, if we analyze that, which we've also talked about in other live streams, we can get intuitive glimpses about ourselves and the world. And that is why this live stream is titled, Do Our Dreams Reflect Reality? And we're going to get into that more. in just a little bit. But and speaking about the utility of dreams, they're so helpful to our lives, and they can also give us sparks of creativity and inspiration. And a lot of people who have created meaningful works or things that have changed the world or pioneered different fields, they've been inspired by their dreams. We hear that a lot. Nikola Tesla, who is a fascinating person, said that he got a lot of inspiration of his work through dreams and contacting something, whether that
Yeah.
was only in his dreams. I think he spoke about some sort of higher entity that he was
Yeah.
communicating with.
I just read today. I knew this, but I had forgotten it. I think there was a song that Paul McCartney wrote based on a dream. I'm sure a lot of musical artists would say the same
Yeah.
thing. I can't remember the name of the song. If anybody knows, let me know. But I just came across that. It was that one of his songs was inspired directly by a dream.
Yeah. And it's both something that has fascinated a lot of people, dreams, that is, but also is still mystifying when we talk about the recollection of information that we have in our dreams, both whether that's positive or negative. Maybe sometimes when you sleep, you remember things from the past, like a memory of a loved one, or maybe you also dream of negative things that are not acknowledged in your life. We're going to talk about all of that stuff and how that can affect your life and also how it reflects reality. So, just really quick, let's jump in and say hi to everybody because we didn't do that at the beginning. I know we said hi to Jan and Morg and Elise, but also Laura's in there and Ren, Spectral, Joanna,
Lisa,
Lisa's a wacky.
Ren, hi Ren. Um, I see Cassidy. I see Pooks. I see Eric and Outlier. Jeannie, hi Jeannie. I haven't seen you in a
And
while.
also, Bridget says,
Jackie.
I still can't find the join button. If possible, if you can't find it, let me know and I'll see if I can help you after the stream, unless anybody else has other pointers. If you're on your mobile device, usually when you close out, it's right next to like where it says the Neogenian Oculus and
Hi Nana.
subscribe.
Yeah. Oh, you're on your iPhone.
Oh, yeah,
You know
I'm
what?
Android, so I can't exactly give you pointers on
If
that.
anybody is on an iPhone and can help Bridget, please do that. But we'll help you later, too.
Yeah.
Like no problem. Um,
So, also, Susan and I talked a little bit about the depth of dreams, and it can be a little bit complex, and we don't have to get into this too much. But also, I wanted to mention that if dreams are something that interests you, we also did a video on dreaming,
yep.
and you can find that on our channel. I think that was one of the last videos that we did. We've been meaning to get back into making videos. That's something that is coming down the pipeline. We've just had so much to work on with new projects like the Nexus Academy and things like that. So, with the depth of dreams and how dreams can reflect our lives, one of the first levels of dreams is called schemas consciousness, and that can really reflect your recent life events. So, Susan, when you were talking about how you think we need to dream to process the information that we've just experienced, I feel like that would be the level
Yeah.
that we would do that at.
I think, yeah, often have very mundane dreams. I mean,
Mhm.
some people might have spectacular ones every night, but a lot of times I think we just are processing and filing away, reviewing basically what happened during the day. So if you went to the
Have you ever
dentist,
had a dream like about an appointment that you
yes,
needed to make or
yeah.
something like
Or
that?
or like if you just went to the dentist and then you dream about being at the dentist. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not necessarily something very profound. It's simply
Yeah.
you're processing what went on through the day, and your brain is trying to filter out what things it needs to remember and what it
Mm.
doesn't. I have a little aside question that just came to me. One of the things that my family has always said to me is that I have a weird memory for specific weird little details of things that nobody else will remember. And I've always attributed it to when I can remember something, it's because that was very mundane. It's because something was interesting, out of the ordinary, or just very cool, that was
Mhm.
associated at that moment. So I might remember going to an ice cream stand when I was a little kid, and that, somewhere my mom will say, you were like 3. How can you remember that? And I'm like, well, because there was an elephant statue like right next to it, and
Yeah,
I
that you
thought
thought
that,
was really cool.
yes. And I still do remember this park we went to in Toronto, and I think they had like a dinosaur in the playground. So I'm going to remember that because that was cool to me. Does anybody else have that? Like, I pair it, I connect a memory with this cool thing. And
Speaking
other,
of memories and
yeah.
dreams, do you remember you and I talked about how we've had dreams that we can't remember if it's a memory or a dream, and or
Oh,
at least I have,
yes.
and I can share my dream. I'm pretty sure it was only a dream, but I am not 100% sure that it wasn't a memory. And in this memory, dream, whatever it was, my mom and I were at a store like in the mall, like a Hallmark store where they have those snow globes and things like that,
Yeah.
and I was twisting all the keys on the bottom of the snow globes and turning on the music boxes.
Yeah.
And so she got annoyed with me and kind of shooed me out of the store. And I was waiting by like how they have the glass banister and you can look down on the next
Yeah.
level of the
Yeah.
mall. I was just standing there looking down at people, and this man came up to me and leaned on the banister and said something. And I have no memory of what he said. And then that's the end of the memory. And I've brought it up to my mom, and she's like, I don't know, but I've never been sure if that was a memory or a
Or a
dream, and it
dream.
recurs all the time.
See, the fact that it recurs, I think, is really interesting. I've had that. And when we talked about this a few days ago, I said, I know I've had that experience, and
Yeah.
I have recurring things, but I can't think of one right now. If I was dreaming, I would, or it's more like when you're in a semi dream state, not,
Yeah.
not really, really deep, when you're sort of ruminating around different places you've been in your dreams. I often
And
do
that's
that.
what Jan just said. I dream of places that I've never been before, but it's so familiar. A vibrant seaside sunset, usually that feels like it's not in this world.
Yeah, but the thing we're specifically talking about is where you, honestly, I can't, I remember memories, but
Hmm.
I don't know whether it's a memory of a dream or a memory of something that actually happened. And I'm very curious, when you and I talked about this the other day, I'm glad you brought this up now, because I'm very curious to know whether anybody who's watching has had that same experience where you really just don't know whether that
Yeah.
happened,
And
like your
for
story.
as strange as that is with dreams on the subliminal level, dreams get even more crazy and strange the deeper in you go. And
Yeah.
so you have the deep personal unconscious, which is much more archetypal, but it's still representative of your life. Like you may have a crying baby or a mother figure, and that can mean things to you, but you kind of have to intuit what it means to
Yeah.
you, but it's still representatory of things in your life. And then even further in than that, you have what Carl Jung would probably refer to as the human collective unconscious, where you're experiencing these very widely represented archetypes and symbols, things that everybody can connect with and that's shared within the human collective unconscious, and that's less personal to you, but they're so strange and so weird that you probably have to use a highly rational level of intuition to be able to process that. Those different symbols and archetypes, they can kind of come at you in ways that they seem strange. And like you may see a dragon or
That was
like
mine.
a castle with a wizard or something like that, and you're not sure what it means,
Yeah.
but it can mean something to you if you're able to process that in a certain way.
Um,
Thank you, Ren, for gifting a membership.
Bridget
Thank you
got
so
it.
much.
That's awesome. Bridget, who wanted to get a
Oh
membership.
yeah, you got the
Perfect.
membership.
Perfect.
Great, Bridget.
Yeah. And
I'll still
also,
help you if you can't figure out how to join later on.
yeah.
Um,
Welcome,
so,
Serafina, too. I think you said this was your first Oculus live stream. Nice to have you here.
oh yes, nice, Serafina. Were you in the Nexus Academy? Your name seems familiar.
Yes, I think so.
Possibly. So, anyway, since we're talking about dreams, I also wanted to bring up something else that's really interesting, and that's Rene Descartes and his dream hypothesis. And that was mentioned in Morg's Neogenesis book. And some of you have finished the Neogenesis book, so I guess spoiler alert if you haven't gotten there yet. But it was a really interesting section, and I thought that it would be good to talk about. And I wanted to look at Google to find out more about it. And I found this segment here that I want to read to you guys. So this is a quote. It wasn't in the Neogenesis book. It's from Google. And it says Descartes' oh, I think Susan has a graphic
Have a
for this
graphic.
one too. So that will pull up on the screen with a nice picture of René Descartes there. And it says Descartes' dream hypothesis is the postulation that the act of dreaming provides preliminary evidence that the senses we trust to distinguish reality from illusion should not be fully trusted, and therefore any state that is dependent on our senses should at the very least be carefully examined and rigorously tested to determine whether it is in fact reality. Descartes argues that it is possible for a person to be dreaming in any given moment and for all their perceptions to be untrue. He believes that sensation cannot dictate certainty in a situation, as illustrated by the dream metaphor. So thank you, Susan, for pulling that one up. I thought that would be good just so that you guys could read along with me, since it's kind of a long quote. But I find that fascinating because it brings into question the true nature of reality and the nature of our perceptions related to the physical world. So I know we've plugged a couple of our videos already, but Susan and I have done a couple videos about the senses, and so you can find those. We did a couple scripted videos and a couple live streams about you can't trust your senses, and that's a really fascinating topic, and I know Susan and I love talking about that. And Susan, you did a couple videos a long time ago about the senses, didn't you?
Yeah, and we recently redid that.
Yeah, one of those.
In a live stream, or did we do a video?
I think that one we turned into a new scripted video, but I
Yeah.
think it's cool you've been talking about the senses for so long.
I find them very, very interesting. I think once you first kind of discover that your senses are not giving you what reality is, your senses are
Yeah.
giving you very limited information, it kind of wakes you up and makes you start to dig deeper. And so I'm fascinated by that. It's also, I mean, our senses are important. That's how we get through life. But when you realize that they are not designed to give you truth, they're designed to get you to survive.
And what's the percentage of the light spectrum that we see? Isn't it like 0.0035% or something like
Morg,
that?
I didn't know that until Morg just said that in their live stream the other day. That was crazy. Tiny amount.
Like not even 1%.
Right.
Which is
0.0035.
absolutely mind-blowing to me.
Yeah.
And also thank you, Kevin Hall, for becoming a wavelet.
Hi, Kevin. Thank you.
We appreciate that. Yeah, Morg says 0.0035.
Yeah.
That is mind-blowing to me.
Yeah. Hi,
and it was also apparently mind-blowing to Descartes that you can question reality and think about whether or not we're dreaming at any given moment. And there's these two other quotes. These two are also by René Descartes, and these were included in the Neogenesis book. And the first one is, I am sure of being seated by the fire, but perhaps I am dreaming, so perhaps I am not seated by the fire. Which is kind of hilarious if you think about it. Like, I'm here, but I could be dreaming, so perhaps I'm not here.
Not here.
And then the other quote is, suppose that I am dreaming and that these particulars, that my eyes are open, that I'm moving my head and stretching out my hands, are not true. Perhaps indeed I do not have such hands or such a body at all. So I just find it fascinating that Descartes was thinking about all of these things in his time when a lot of other people were just getting on with their lives and not bringing into question the true nature of reality.
Yeah, well, and there's a lot of people that still do that today. I mean, I'm constantly going on about how difficult it is for me to get my mother, who I live with and who is a staunch materialist, because she can't envision anything different, and we just run in circles talking about it. And I've brought up a lot of these quotes, and I've said, but how do you know? How do you know? Just as a mental exercise.
Have you ever said to somebody, like, how do you know that you're not dreaming? And have them said, well, of course. Why would you think that we are? How absurd.
Yeah, except for my mother, no, I haven't.
Yeah.
But that kind of throws, well, it doesn't throw her. She just kind of, she goes, but 2 seconds later, she's right back to but I I know that this, I can touch the table and I can do stuff. And I said, I know, but you can do that in your dreams too. So, but before I get us sidetracked on all of this, because I can go on forever about the conversations that we have, and trying to convince her to consider a mental reality, but very difficult with the materialist. We're getting
Thank
also.
you. Laura upgraded her membership to a
Oh,
waveform.
thank you,
Is that our
Laura.
highest tier? Or is that the
Ah,
middle tier? I think we have three.
I think
It's
yes.
waveform, wavelet,
Wavelet,
and
waveform, wave function. I think wave function is the
maybe,
highest.
maybe that's it. Well,
Yeah.
in any case, thank you, Laura,
Thank
for
you.
upgrading. We appreciate your support so much. And thank you to everybody who supports. We love our community and
Yep.
love seeing you guys every time we get to do a live stream.
But
So
remember
since
that
we're,
we're just happy to have you here, and
yeah,
in the community. That
yeah,
there's no obligation. Um,
definitely. And so, since we're talking about dreams and talking about how it's so strange that we could be in a dream, we also should talk about dream content, since we're talking about intuition today as well, and whether or not our dreams can reflect our lives in reality. And so, when you dream, as we've talked about a little bit so far, you experience different content that can be strange and mystifying or shocking or bewildering, all of those different words. It's unique to you. All of our dreams are unique to us. And so this dream content can be nonsense and it's not always truthful. So it can provide insight into our life. But as we talked about before in our live stream, where we mentioned that intuition can be misleading, you shouldn't take in that dream content as truth or as a trustworthy guide to your life.
or
So when
some
we
kind of
say,
prophecy.
yeah, or as some kind of prophecy, because you see people doing that quite a bit as well. So when we're saying to you that dreams can provide insight into your life, that doesn't mean that you should take whatever you dream and say, this is what it is, I'm going to run with that,
Mhm.
because that can be very dangerous and foolish. So we've talked about before, intuition is a helpful tool, but it can also be dangerous to rely on. So when Susan just said, don't take that stuff as prophecies, there are different ways that people can get misguided by that intuition.
I think
And one of those things was reincarnating. And what did you say the other night when you talked to me about reincarnating? So
Oh, yeah. You know how you hear often that people will say, I dreamt about being in Cleopatra is always the one that comes
yeah,
to mind.
yeah,
And they're like,
that's like one of the most popular ones,
yeah. And
Cleopatra.
I'm not really sure why, but
She had a lot of tragedy in her life.
yeah, but she was also, I guess, renowned for being beautiful. Um,
Hmm.
and maybe that's the thing, and exotic, and maybe that's the thing that gets people's interest. But people will say, "Oh, I was Cleopatra, or some famous person. I was, oh, we lost Philip. Oh, and he's back.
Sorry.
Philip is having storms, so right
No,
before
I
you
I
hit
spilled my
something.
drink and I pushed my cord and
Oh,
it did
okay.
that. So just a second.
Okay, I was in a slight panic earlier because Philip is having
Yeah,
thunderstorms, and I said,
it's all good.
if you lose connection, that's not going to be fun. But when people have a dream about being a famous person, and then they immediately say, "Oh, I must have been this famous person in a previous life," or they just have a very strong connection to a particular place, or a
Time
people
period.
yeah, time period,
Yeah,
or
because I know a
place.
lot of people in their dreams, and a lot of people like to say they're reincarnated Egyptian so and so, and that
Yeah,
may be, but how would you know for sure?
yeah, but also how look at how many people say they have been that they were Cleopatra or whomever, and I think that what's more important to look at, it doesn't really matter if you were or not. I think what's more important is that you ask yourself, why is this important? What does this mean to me? What does this represent to me? and
Yeah.
and why am I dreaming about it? I
And
think,
is it benefiting your life to have that belief that you were such and such?
yeah, that's kind of not really that important. What matters is what it's trying to tell you. And oh, my alarm, sorry, I'm so sorry. I need to take eye drops. Okay, I can't do it until later. I forgot about that. Um,
That's all right.
so I think instead of sort of that focus on, wow, I was Cleopatra in a previous life, spend your time thinking, what does Cleopatra represent to me? What material, what content am I looking for? What am I connecting to and trying to bring into the now? It could be something that somehow your mind has related to that time period, something that is not at all connected with you to you being Cleopatra or whomever. And I think that's the more important work to be done in that area.
Yeah. And also, there's so much work to do now in the present that if you're going to do something, you should be focused on now rather than the past. Like with your past lives, you should be focused on this life that you have and how you can gain insight into your dreams to help you better your life now.
Yeah, well, you can have a dream about Cleopatra or ancient Egypt
Yeah,
that is
for
still
sure.
relevant to something that you're going through now. Maybe it represents something that's important for about yourself, that it's important for you to recognize so that you can live your life now. It doesn't mean, oh, if you have a dream about the past, okay, well, that's in the past, and
Yeah.
you can just say that's
You
not
just have
important.
to understand that it's representative.
That look for the material that connects you to what you need to know now to move forward, to grow, to what is it trying to tell you, rather than fixating on, I think I was this person, because that's all there is to that. I was this person, and what are you going to do with that? So I think that's the difference.
And I see Jackie said, I've never had any sense of a previous life. And I don't think I have either. If I have had a dream like that, I don't remember it. But perhaps it's just not important to me in my unconscious that I would remember it.
Yeah, remember that we do bring with us are all of the collective knowledge and growth from all of our previous lives. But I don't think it's important that I think some people are fixated on wanting to know what their previous lives were like.
Mhm.
Excuse me. And I mean, there's something kind of cool about that, but I wouldn't spend my time trying to uncover what I was in a previous life. I think I would
Yeah.
work on
It has a certain
what you are
level of
now.
it has a certain level of romanticism to it, of wondering like what your past lives could have been.
Yeah, where I think that might be important, and I'll give you a story about somebody I knew years ago who she had terrible nightmares about, I think that the fear was being trapped in a small place. It was like a claustrophobia dream, and she would wake up. It was affecting her life. She would wake up screaming. She would, when she was in college, she would be waking up her roommate. And one day, she was walking in somewhere in I don't know, a movie theater. It doesn't really matter. And another woman was coming out, and this woman said to her, "Now, I'm not going to evaluate whether this woman had any kind of, psychic knowledge or anything. I'm not going there." But this woman looked at her and said, sort of put her hand on her shoulder and said, that dream about the claustrophobia or the whatever issue, she said, that's just coming from a previous life. It has nothing to do
Interesting.
it has nothing to do with the now. And remember, this was a long time ago I heard this story. It's possible that the woman I knew had told her about the dreams, and then the woman said that's from a previous life, rather than sort of having that seemingly psychic ability. But that
Yeah.
part's not important. The important thing is, once the my friend had got that information, she never had nightmares again about it. It was like being told that this was something that happened in a previous life. It just freed her from it. So your question about knowing what happened in previous lives, I think if you have something very traumatic that you might bring with you in your
Mhm.
unconscious, like I'm not gonna I'm not going to say this is true or not, but I think I was probably burned at the stake in a previous life. I'm very afraid of fire. So, and that wouldn't seem so off for me. And probably also eaten by a shark. But anyway, I think that if you have something like that that's affecting your life, my thing doesn't affect my life, but you could tell yourself, well, that might have been something that happened in a previous life, so that you don't have to fixate on it
Yeah.
now. So those are the only reasons that I would think to sort of want to explore the past. I think what's more important is getting in touch with what your unconscious is trying to tell you, and you can do that through dream analysis
And
using your intuition.
do you think dream analysis is super helpful for all of that? I know we've talked about it a lot, but in terms of being around since for a long time, people have talked about dream analysis.
Yeah, I mean, I would absolutely think so. I mean, I think dreaming, and I mean, this is the title of this live stream. I think dreams are an incredible resource, and I put this in the description. And intuition is an incredible tool. We do want to get in touch with our unconscious. What is it trying to tell us? Dreams do that to a large degree. Sometimes dreams are just unimportant, but often they will let us get in touch with what our the higher self is trying to tell us, and we
You
use
know,
our
I don't feel I learned as nearly as much as I know now about dreams until I encountered Carl Jung's work.
yeah
And especially with archetypes and symbols, you and I have been talking about archetypes and symbols for days.
yeah
And we have a lot of questions that we won't get into that we've just been discussing. But
some
do you think
other
maybe the past life stuff has a lot to do with archetypes?
well, I think that past lives and present life,
Yeah,
archetype stuff. I mean,
they
I know.
definitely affect our lives in huge ways.
Oh yeah, and our intuition is what we use to help uh, unravel and analyze a lot of our dream content. And one of the things that I think I mentioned to you the other day, and want to make sure we point out now again, is that a lot of places will say, if you're trying to get dream analysis, a lot of people or places will say, "Oh, just enter the key words that were in your dream, and I'll tell you what your dream meant." And be very cautious about things like that, because
Yeah.
yes, there are a lot of commonalities, but also if you were swimming in your dream, water to different people can mean different things. So if
Yeah.
somebody just tries to tell you, oh, that was referring to your unconscious, I mean, maybe it had nothing to do with that.
I would
Maybe
think that would be an easy way to be misled.
yes, yeah. So don't just go with what somebody else tells you that, a whale means, or
Yeah.
a potato. You need to this is where your intuition comes in, and you start to make those connections. And in
Dreams are so personal. I feel like it's almost a individual endeavor that you have to go through. And I
yeah,
mean, you can share your dreams with other people, but other people, like what you're saying, can't tell you what your dreams mean to you.
yeah, I think, yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're, especially if you're in therapy or something, and you have a dream that you're very emotional about, definitely talk about it. Often your therapist or analyst can help you uncover it, but ultimately what it means is, you're the only person who knows that and can get to that.
And
One
I've personally found, not to interrupt you,
No,
I've
no, go ahead.
personally found that using a dream journal has been really helpful for me because I'm so forgetful that I have really interesting dreams. And if I don't write stuff down or like get it into my phone so I can write it down later, it's gone.
Oh
And
yeah,
oftentimes, I feel like when I wake up, sometimes after a really important dream, I even have the conscious thought to myself, this is a good one, don't forget it, because there's been so many times where I have not written it down, and then later on I go, what was that dream? It was so cool,
I know.
And so as soon
Yeah,
as you get it written down, you can go back and analyze that later. It's super important to get
yeah.
it either in a recording device or something.
Even just a few key words that will spark that memory of what it was in the dream. I kept a dream journal for a while, and I have just been horrific at it. One
Yeah.
of my problems with dream journaling is that I tend to want to. I don't know how to just give a small description. Often in a dream journal, they don't give you much room, for if you have like a diary version where they just give you a little bit of space. And I'm always trying to describe every little thing,
Yeah,
every little
and you run out
detail.
of space.
Oh, I'll just go on for pages, and I don't like handwriting all of that stuff out, so then I just don't. But you're much better off, even if you just make an entry and you say, walking down the main street of my childhood town and shoe store. I just made that up, but just that would spark that. Oh, that's right, that. And you'll remember the dream you had where you were doing that, and then what happened in the shoe store. Maybe it just takes a little bit for you to remember that, and if you can put it in a lot of the other details later, that's fine. There is a lot of people we have to get to some comments too. What time is
Yeah,
it?
I saw Elise left one that said, could be archetypal. I think it depends if your dreams are coming from the collective unconscious or your personal unconscious. Collective unconscious could be why so many people have past life dreams, which is really interesting. And I think you're absolutely right, Elise.
um Hi, PL, nice to see you. Is this your first time here? Yeah, Dream Journal, you're welcome. You know, Let us know, everybody who keeps the dream journal, how helpful you're finding it. I definitely should go back to it. um
Jan says, I've had hints of past lives that are consistent, but I can't say for sure it is a past life. I wish there was a rational way to confirm. That's really cool. See, I feel like I have not had past life instances in my dreams or things, but if I did, like I said, I probably don't think it's important enough personally for me to remember.
yeah, like I said, I think if it's not important, if it's not something that your mind thinks is important, you probably won't.
Yeah.
It's not necessary for you. I think some people may be carrying around something that is important, something they do want to get to. I mean, one of my recurring dreams is of, um this has happened so many times, where I'm somewhere and one of my cats, a cat that I don't think is actually a cat that I own now, but it is a fluffy cat, and I come across it, and I realized suddenly in my dream that I had lost it, and it was like, oh my God, and it comes back to me in my dream, the memory of having lost that thing, and it's represented by a cat, and that I loved it so, so, so much. And I remember thinking in my dream how I had forgotten about it, and now I have found it again, and it's one of the most emotional dreams, recurring dreams, that I will have. It's like I've lost something incredibly important, and I had forgotten about it, and now have found it again. So anyway, if you have things
That's
like,
really interesting. And it seems like you guys, the audience, are really interested in that stuff about the difference between individual and collective dreams. And like I said, go check out our dreams video if you want more information or to see a different video about that. And so when we're talking about our individual versus collective dreams, what we mean is frequency content. So each one of us, each one of you, everybody is a complete set of frequency. It's a complete frequency system singularity. You are a zeta. And so the holos, which is the world that we live in and interact in, that is the frequency contents of all minds or all zetas interacting. And so when we're talking about our personal dreams, that is an instance where you are interacting with your own personal frequency content. And when we are experiencing our day to day lives, we are experiencing the frequency contents of all minds. And so
Bridget,
your personal, oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, Bridget said there's collective dreams. That's what this is right now. We're in a collective dream. This is a dream that we are all dreaming together. So
Yeah.
we go from what we think of as the waking world, and then we fall asleep and we go into our own personal dream. But the waking world it's the holos is a collective dream.
Yeah.
It's what we are all
Just as
dreaming
you have
together.
the ability to create individual dreams, individual worlds in your dreams, together we create this world, this shared dream together out of the frequency contents of all of us as zetas.
And the difference between the two is you have complete control over your own dreams. I mean, you 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 may feel like you're being pulled along because you're unconscious in your dreams, but you are creating that dreamscape with your own content. Whereas the holos, we can't do things, we can't fly like we can in personal dreams, because we are only contributing a very, very tiny part to the entire um, holos. So,
And our dreams video was so long ago, but I think we talk about that more in that
I
video.
have to
And
watch
Morg's
that
also
again.
done a couple videos on
Yeah,
that as well.
yeah,
So anyway, what we're experiencing in our personal dreams versus the collective dream, like what Susan said, we are stepping from one world into our personal world at nighttime in our dreams, and we're just stepping back and forth between these dreams.
yeah. That's what we're doing. We're going from our personal dream to the collective dream. And I think what you might have been thinking of, Bridget, or asking about, is, can we have a collective dream with only a subset of entities? And that would be the uh, collective frequency domain, right?
CFD.
CFD. And
That's really interesting. I mean, we've talked about sharing dreams with others and stuff. And Susan asked me the other night, what would it be like for some kind of being to come into your dream, and how would you tell? And wasn't
yeah.
that your dragon story?
Okay, well, my dragon was, because I'm also interested, again, this is another topic that I'm interested in hearing from you guys, but have you ever had a dream where there was some element of it that was so powerful or other, felt very
Yeah.
other, and where you're just like, that is not what I'm used to in your dreams? And I had one with a dragon. It was a dragon, which is unbelievably powerful. That's pretty understandable, the symbology there.
A very powerful archetype.
Yes, very powerful. So I would put it on the level of dreams where an archetype comes in, which is still you, but yeah, you've had some of those, Jan. It was very powerful, very scary. Very scary. It was like everybody in my dream, which was all of my other characters, all of the other me's, we were running for cover and hiding. It was coming through like smog, smog. Terrifying. We got the Lord of the Rings in there for you, Philip.
I love
Anyway,
Lord of the Rings.
I know. So if anybody else has had one of those, let us know. It was, it was very, very frightening. And I've only had one other dream that was even more frightening than that. I don't really remember much about it. It was so terrifying. Something terrified me so much that it actually woke me up suddenly, and I was like flying over the other side of my bed to where my phone was to call my parents. And because I was, in an apartment, and I got my mom on the phone, and I was like, you have to come get me. That's how absolutely terrified I was. And I wish I knew what it was. It was something very other and very, very,
Bridget
very
said, I've
scary.
had out of body dreams. Does that count? That is really interesting. And I always love hearing when people have NDEs or OBEs. And I think Morg has said this before. It would be interesting to be able to know if that's something that's actually occurring within our consciousness, or
Yeah.
if there's actually a projection there, if
Yeah.
you're actually leaving that. And so I always find that interesting. I've personally never had an experience like that. So when I hear people describe their experiences, I always find that fascinating.
My husband has had a bunch of those years ago. Oh, hang on, I'm going to cough. I'm going to mute myself. You talk.
Oh, that's all right. Yeah, I'd be interested to hear about his dreams as well. Laura says, Philip or Susan, I've had some dreams I could hardly get out of recently, even where I got up out of bed in the morning and felt like my apartment was not real, but that the dream was very weird. And I think I've heard people speak about that before as they're coming out of the dream. It's like the dream can seep into your real life, and you're still kind of experiencing some subliminal elements of the dream. And yeah, that's really interesting, Laura. Um, I don't think I've had that personally. Um, I don't know.
I
Usually when I wake up, I'm like zombie or Dracula waking up, like not human yet. So
I've had sleep paralysis dreams. Oh, forget it. I have to cough. Hang on.
that's all right.
You talk.
That's another thing that I've never had is sleep paralysis, or if I have, I don't remember it. Everybody's had these different dream experiences that I would love to try, but that I've never had.
You
And
do not want sleep paralysis.
well, I think I do, even though it sounds horrible, but it would be an
Oh.
experience. It would be a new experience. So even though it would be frightening in the moment, it would be something new.
I'm sorry, you guys. The recurring things to Laura. I don't know if this is what you experienced, but with me having sleep paralysis, I would have this thing where I would get out of bed, but not really, but it would feel like I was out of bed. And I'd be walking across my bedroom, to the light switch because I wanted to turn the light on. And somehow I would then end up waking up and I'd realize that I was in bed. But the weird thing about walking was that it was, and this is how part of me would know that I was dreaming, even though it felt so real, because I couldn't move properly. And that might have been the sleep paralysis part, but it was very jerky. I felt like a zombie, kind of just like, moving my foot and then the other foot and the other foot. And I was trying to drag myself over to the light switch. It was important to turn the light on because the dark was scary. The whole thing is not a fun thing at all. Sorry about the coughing.
So what do you guys think? Do you think
Seraphina said that they've had that happen to them too. Not fun. Not fun.
Yeah. So what do you guys think? Have you enjoyed this live stream, and do you think dreams and intuition are really interesting topics when tied together? We still have a little bit left to go, so we're not ending yet. But also, everybody, don't forget that we're going to have a members only stream right after this one. Susan already has that set up. So if you want to join us and you've become a member, you can find the link to that video on our community board. And so just to kind of sum up for today, the title for today's video was Do Dreams Reflect Reality? And I think that you guys have seen that our dreams do reflect both our personal reality and the collective reality. And so when we go to dream and we sleep at night, we experience different aspects of ourselves that come forth via our unconscious. And we experience those things and we can intuit different elements from that can reflect aspects of our lives, whether that's our past, our present. And we've gotten into a lot of great things in terms of that. Ren says, great stream tonight. Thank you so much. And Laura says, great topic. I really was excited for this one. And so it's important to remember that we use intuition as a tool. You shouldn't let intuition run wild and kind of run with that, because that can be a little bit dangerous. And so when we use intuition as a tool, guided by reason, we can shape the collective through our will. We can analyze our dreams and understand how we want to change the world. We can be inspired by our dreams and create different catalysts to help inspire other people to change the world. And I really want to drive this point home. Susan and I talked about this. We're not saying that when we talk about the collective dream, we're not saying that reality isn't real, or that we should, quote, sleep on the idea of creating change. So when we say it's a collective dream, don't mistake that for it's not real. You can't get hurt out there. You should be reckless. It's very much real. You can experience things out there, but it's the idea of being a collective dream.
Yeah, one of the things that, again, back to my mother and constantly trying to get her to understand what I mean when I'm talking about reality. She always says, but you don't think that any of this is real? And I tell her, yes, I do. Of course this is real. Of course this is real. It's just not what you think it is. It's just not the materialist version that you think. Of course it's real, but think of it this way: when you're dreaming, and if being lucid in a dream certainly helps, because if you have experienced that, then you can touch a table and you'll realize that it's very solid, and you will understand how we touch tables in our waking, in the holos, and they feel very solid. It has nothing to do with it not being real.
Yeah. Elise says this has been a great stream, and Spectral said, great stream, enjoy the next. Thank you, Serafina, for becoming a wavelet. We appreciate you becoming a member. We appreciate all of you guys. And Lisa Woolley said, love the stream on dreams. Thank you so much. I'm not familiar with your name, but thank you for joining us today, Lisa.
Welcome if you're new. And who's right underneath Lisa? Is that somebody else who's new? BVIQPIBD? Sometimes I hear a continuous sound in my dreams. It is caused by sometimes in my dream, and when I hear the sound long enough, it wakes me up just to find out the sound was happening in real life. Oh, I've had that. Have you had that, where a sound from the holos actually enters into your dream and you incorporate that into your dream?
If I have, I don't recall off the top of my head.
Yeah, I've done that. I think that there's probably been cartoons or like adding that idea into movies or TV shows. I can see that. Yo, Jan said yes, my alarm clock. Yeah, so did Bridget.
Yeah, maybe that I've had, and then you wake up and you're like, gosh, that's horrible.
Yeah.
And also Laura, before this goes too far up my chat, has been a member for 24 months, 2 years of fantastic and wondrous adventures, learning and growing, evolving more every month. Thank you so much, Laura. And thank you for being with us. And thank you, Joanna, a member for 30 months. Gave a Neo star. I couldn't tell what it was on the green background right away.
Thank you.
So when we're talking about changing the world and what it will take to change the collective dream and create a beautiful new world, we say those things a lot. But what we want to drive home and make emphasis of is, just as you can become aware and lucid in your dreams, you can also become more aware in the world, in the holos, in the world that we experience together. And so the most important aspect to change is to elevate consciousness and create a world of elevated individuals that are hyper aware. And that's how we will change the world. And it sounds like something that we're just saying we need to do this, but it's important to emphasize how important that is to become aware in our day-to-day lives. So I think that's mostly it for today, unless anybody has any last minute questions. We postponed for a couple of weeks. We're going to try and get back on a regular schedule. I had some Wi-Fi issues, and then Susan had some stuff going on. So we haven't seen you guys for a couple weeks on our channel. Zeus said, thanks, Susan and Philip, for an excellent stream and discussion. So thank you guys so much.
This was a fun one. This was your topic. So
yeah, this is the one that you guys asked for.
Yeah. So
Jan says you both look and sound great. Thank you so much.
Well, that's because I was muting all my coughing, and Philip heard me, but you guys at least didn't. Bridget, when is the next stream? So we are planning on doing another one in 2 weeks, because Meta Rationalism is coming out. So we're gonna be talking about that. I don't think we would do a stream next week, because I'm still recovering, and we have a lot we're working on, but the book is coming out on Thursday, right? So yeah, that's kind of soon. Give us a little bit of time, but 2 weeks from today, it'll be just over a week after the book is released, and we will be back and we'll be talking about that. And I was going to tell you guys that I worked for hours today on our stupid spring store. Philip has heard me ranting.
You've been fighting with that for a while.
I have been fighting with it. I think I managed to get Pooks's Quokka shirt up, and one of the new, like the one with our logo and motto in that the pretty sort of goldish color. But I'm fighting with that. Eventually it will be up. You know, I'm working on it. Anyway, I want to tell you guys that in our members only, I think what we should do, which we're going to start in a few minutes, is I want to hear you guys talking about your dream things, because I know there was a lot going on in the comments that we didn't have a chance to get to. So let's hop in there and talk about that. Thank you, Elise. You gifted another membership. Jackie got it. So Jackie, I hope you can come in. I think you saw it. I hope you can come into the members stream. I'm going to did Spectral want it? Oh, that's what you did it for. That breaks my heart. My heart is breaking.
But thank you to everybody for liking and subscribing and giving us your great comments, and we appreciate you just for being here. So
yeah, we do.
Thank you so much.
And I'm going to go put the link on the community board. I've already set up the stream, but I'm going to put the link on there. I'm going to do the quokka for Cassidy. There you go. Cassidy promised to make a new quokka for me. And did you do it and give it to me and then I just didn't make the thing or not? I can't remember because I have a lot on my mind. So anyway, we're gonna
give us about 5 to 10 minutes and then we will see you guys in the members only stream.
Yeah. All right. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
See you in a few minutes.